Hi, I'm Paula, and welcome to my channel. If you saw my last video where we updated the kitchen, and I told you that projects that involve my husband have a tendency to grow, that was no exception, and that project did grow. Not only did we update our kitchen, but we spilled over into the next room, the dining room. Join me as I update our gray-skinned, seemingly modern dining room that didn't fit in with our 1970s house in the woods. When we moved in, our dining room looked like it had seen several design iterations over the years. I was pretty confident that that chair rail was not original to the room, and that was confirmed when we pulled it down and found 70s wallpaper underneath. And I was also very confident that the baseboard molding was a fairly recent addition, and it was a very tall and highly complex profile that didn't look like it belonged in this house. It was meant to be an improvement. I didn't think it was. As my husband and I were shooting around ideas about how to redesign our house to make it fit better with its own architecture, with its location, and with our personal aesthetic, I had shown my husband some Pinterest boards of board and batten trim that I really wanted to implement on the side of the staircase. I feel like that would really make that wall an accent wall, and it would fit in very well with what is very literally a house in the country. That inspiration made him want to try it out in a neat, squarish room, just so that he could get a feel for it. Well, when it was time for the power tools, time to pull out that compound miter saw and the nail gun to put up our new board and batten trim. This is how my dog reacts to power tools. They scare him and he goes to his safe place. We just leave this here with the door open all the time because the dog and the cat use it as their safe space when they're feeling threatened. We also debated how to redo the trim around the doors and the windows and along the base of the floor. Were we gonna add another base? Can you pull it down and tell me what the flaws you're gonna cover?
Well, the ceiling doesn't match all the way right here. Looks like when they did the stippling, they didn't stipple all the way to the edge because there's a spot right there. Also, the drywall paper comes up right here, and this covers the drywall paper ending right there. There's just a lot of imperfections on the top of the wall. Sometimes it's hard to get the drywall mud always smooth like it is right here. Put that up, boom, everything covered.
We tossed around ideas, looked at Pinterest boards and at instructional videos of how to trim out doors and windows in different styles. But at the end of the day, I really wanted it to be very flat and plain because I just felt, I don't know, for some reason I was feeling that aesthetic right now and for this house. In our previous home, we updated that house room by room over the course of 16 years. And what we came to find out is that different home improvement stores carry different profile casings and trim, and that over the course of years, sometimes their standard casing and trim that they have in stock changes. And so you may not be able to find the baseboard that you installed in the master bedroom by the time you get to the secondary bedrooms. I didn't want to have to face that problem anymore. And we are not the kind of people that will plan ahead and pre-order what we need. We'll end up with like, what are we doing this weekend? Oh, I don't know. Well, let's do a project and we'll just tear something up and do it all over again in the course of a weekend. That's kind of how we roll. So I thought, well, if we just do flat stock trim as our casing, then we'll always be able to find flat stock. That's standard, it's everywhere, and flat's not changed. So we decided to go with 4-inch trim on the uprights and 6-inch trim along the horizontal top of the doors and the windows without any additional adornment. Also, didn't make any attempt to cut things on a 45 profile, and the verticals just came up and butted up against the horizontals. And that's the look that we intended, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So demo was a fun process. When I pulled down the chair rail, I found 1970s wallpaper underneath, and there's nothing quite like that. But also, when we removed the baseboard from the floor, it looked like there was something hiding beneath this gray vinyl planking. After we pulled up a couple of boards, yep, we were pretty confident there was in fact a full hardwood floor in the dining room. We left the vinyl down for most of the painting process. When we did get around to pulling up the rest of the vinyl, oh man, we made some heartbreaking discoveries. Even though the majority of the floor was in really very good condition, we found that the floor at the transition from the dining room to the kitchen, someone had taken a sander with like 60 grit paper and sanded it down, probably at least 1/8 of an inch, trying to make it match the level of the subfloor in the kitchen. And being unable to accomplish that, they put a cardboard box on top of the subfloor and then laid the vinyl in the kitchen on top of the cardboard box to make that transition to the dining room less lumpy. Yeah, I knew there was something wrong in that doorway. Now I know what it was. Another heartbreaking discovery that we found is when we got to the doorway from the dining room to the living room. The living room currently is a step down. It's sunken in one step in a delightfully 70s style. But they had taken a circular saw and just hacked off the bullnose edging or the stair nose from the edge of the floor, even with the trim below, so that they could wrap vinyl over it. That was so unnecessary and so unattractive. And like I said, that was just a heartbreaking discovery. This is one of those crimes against interior design. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? If you have other good options, let me just say, don't ever buy a corporate-owned rental house. Don't buy a house from a corporation that they've come in and they put lipstick on the pig. Don't do it. You will be so upset with the things that they've done. It may look like, oh, look at this clean, updated house. It's not. So the paint color that we used on our board and batten area of the wall is called Nomadic Desert by Sherwin-Williams. And we used it because we painted that same color in the cabinetry, on the upper cabinetry in the kitchen. The Nomadic Desert would make these two rooms coordinate. We knew that we had red gunstock oak floors under the vinyl. Now the room is really warm. Unsure of how we wanted to handle the top of the walls, I decided to just pull out a paint color I already had, and you can see this is Sherwin-Williams Sea Salt. We've used it in our master bathroom. We used it in the previous house in our master, and we painted our current master in that same color because I really like it. And I thought that I would like it here, and when I put the paint chips next to each other, and even when I leaned them up against the wall, I thought I would like it. Once I had painted the walls, I didn't cut in, I just rolled it because my husband and I were unsure. We were ready to commit to this. I rolled it everywhere. In the daytime, kind of liked it. At night, the quality of light in this room in the evening, it made it feel too dark. And even in the daytime, I liked it, but it definitely evoked a coastal feel with the sandy colors and the blue-green, and I don't want coastal. I love coastal, but this is not a coastal house. This is a house in the woods. I didn't love the blue-green, so I decided I needed to find another color, and the color that I landed on was moderate white. Same color I used in the kitchen, and just like in the kitchen, am I happy with the moderate white? Moderately. I'm not sure if it's the perfect color, but I had been contemplating adding wallpaper to the upper part of the walls. Although I, in my mind, tried out many, many different patterns, I kept finding myself drawn to patterns that had a whitish ground or an off-white ground with a pattern on top. I was like, well, I always have the option to come back and add wallpaper, but obviously I'm attracted to the off-white ground. Let me just go ahead and do off-white on the upper part of these walls. The nice thing is, it does relate very well to the kitchen. Moderate white would be a very easy color to put just about anywhere. It's very unassuming. And it really does make my artwork and even my plants pop next to it. It recedes to the background, it lets other things be the feature. In this case, the board and batten can be the feature, but I don't need the upper part of the walls to be trying to grab all the attention. Just be a supporting role. Literally, support the ceiling. That's all I need from you walls. While we were painting, my husband did paint all of our trim in his chosen trim color that he will use now and forever, amen. And that color is Dover White by Sherwin-Williams. It's a lovely, creamy, warm white that is very easy to live with. So he painted all of the doors and trim. He pre-painted the trim before he put it up. He did paint over our windows because we are still in discussions about what to do about our windows. Currently, they are the original single pane 1970s wood windows with cracked glazing. And they're very breezy in the winter and they're not great at insulating in the summer, so they definitely could use an upgrade. But it's really expensive. If I were to try and get wood windows in the same style, it would be beyond our resources. They are really expensive. And to replace them with inexpensive replacement windows, while that would help our energy costs, they would look like what they are. They would look like inexpensive replacement windows. And I don't want to do that. And as much as I would like to maximize our view without having all the mullions in these windows, I actually do kind of feel the charm of the original 70s windows. We just decided to kick that can down the road. We're not in agreement about how to handle the windows right now, so we're not gonna make any changes currently. Contemplating making our own screens to cover the windows in the summer and our own storm windows to cover them in the winter. We'll just have to wait and see how that shakes out. While we were replacing the trim around the windows, one thing that I noticed as soon as he pulled the casing was that I could see daylight from around the side of these windows. That's not good. If light can get in, you know air can get in, and I think you could probably get small rodents in with the amount of daylight I was seeing. So we did address that issue with some expanding spray foam that is manufactured for exactly that purpose. And I do think that that helped the comfort in this room tremendously, just sealing up some of those gaps. Feedback from the kids, once we completed the work we did in this dining room, they said, well, now this looks like one of our rooms. This looks like a room in our house. Excellent. That's what we're going for. We're looking for this place to feel like our home. So I am celebrating incremental improvements, and look at how this room looks now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be all the way completed to be an improvement. And I celebrate incremental improvements at every turn, and I encourage you all to do the same. Just because you don't have the time or the money or the resources to completely redo a space that is bothering you, that doesn't mean you can't make a small incremental improvement to make it just a little bit better in the meantime. Whether that is just clearing out some of the clutter, cleaning up some of the windows, wiping away some of the scuff marks on the walls, or repainting, let's celebrate incremental improvements. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you have done to make small changes that had a significant impact in your spaces. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Please consider giving me a like and a subscribe, and look at some of my other videos and watch the playlist all about my house. Thank you.